What is up, gamers? We are here for the CGT. That's right, folks. Somehow we made it into the CGT. And I'm very, very excited to be here. Thank you to Addison Aquarius for inviting us. And I'm very, very stoked to be here. This should be a ton of fun. This is going to be our draft analysis video. You can already see all of our Pokemon, but I just wanted to do a little bit of discussion, talk about everything we drafted, why we drafted it, and just have a nice little video for y'all. So, again, if you aren't familiar with the CGT, since this is a league that I haven't been in previously, for anyone that's been around my channel for a while, this is the Champions of Galar tournament, and this is the second season. It's basically just a whole bunch of coaches that have won leagues and have been near the top of the Wi-Fi scene for the generation, and I'm super, super excited to be able to play in it. And we've drafted a very, very interesting team for this season. I could see this season going a couple different ways, and not all of them are great, but I'm very excited to use this team because it just looks like a ton of fun, and I really hope that we can do well this season with it. But if you're looking at it, our first pick, we ended up getting like the 5th pick, maybe the 7th, somewhere around there. I think we were like the 5th. And we went with Celesteela. And if you've only watched my Wi-Fi videos, I don't think you've ever really seen me use Celesteela. I used Celesteela a ton back in the day for like Gen 7, early Gen 8, early Gen 8 Crown Tundra. I really, really enjoyed this Pokemon, but it's been a very long time since I've used it, and the normal things that I would take, like Cocoa and that type of stuff, were already gone. And so I was like, you know what? We're going to go with Celesteela. I haven't used it in forever. It'll be fun to use it one last time before Scarlet and Violet, because that's another thing. This is going to be probably our last Wi-Fi league before Scarlet and Violet release. And so I wanted to use a whole bunch of the Pokemon that I don't think I'm going to get the chance to use in Scarlet and Violet for a while. So that means like legendaries, mythicals, because those usually aren't in the base game of new games. And so I went with Celesteela because I'm like, well, I'm not going to be able to use this in early Scarlet and Violet, and I want to use it on Wi-Fi at least once, if at all possible. And it's a really, really versatile mon, which I really like about it. I generally try to draft, those heavy breakers with my first overall pick, but Celesteela is not really that. It's more of a either setup sweeper or an unbreakable wall, depending on how you want to run it any given week, and it's a ton of fun. The set of this generation is definitely like the Autotomized Meteor Beam set. After they gave it Meteor Beam, it finally got a way to boost its stats beyond Beast Boost, which is awesome. And I'm really, really excited to use it. It's a ton of fun. I've always had fun using it. I've never used it like incredibly, but I don't really care because it's so much fun to use. And yeah, I'm really excited to be having it this season. I think it did really well last season as well in the CGT, so that's a plus. The second pick is a mon that I really just wanted to use for a while, and I've never used, mostly because I'm always drafting other water types, because it's not really the most ideal bulky water type, but it's a fast fighting type with momentum, which I love, and that's Keldeo. Yeah, Keldeo is a mon that I've never used before. Maybe it's because it runs stuff like Focus Blast and Hydro Pump, but I can run like Surf, Aura Sphere, Sacred Sword, or Secret Sword, and that type of stuff. But yeah, I really wanted to try this mon out before it left the generation. It's a mythical Pokemon, so I was like, I'm not going to use this for a long time. We might as well draft it now. And I had a pair in mind when I drafted Keldeo. I really wanted, regardless of what my first pick was, I wanted my second and third picks to be Keldeo Volcarona, because they're two Pokemon that I've never used to draft, and I think they're a fun pair. Like, they're both obviously weak to flying, and like they don't work together perfectly, but Keldeo is great for those rock types for the Volcarona that it doesn't want to deal with, and it's also really good for the fire types the Volcarona doesn't want to deal with. So I thought it'd be a really fun pair. I also just wanted to use Volcarona because I described it to Ryan, Ryan's also in this league, which is awesome, because if you watch this channel, you definitely have watched Ryan as well. He's the GOAT. I love him. And he's also in this league. And I told Ryan that Volcarona is basically just Moltres with Quiver Dance. And like, I obviously know that it's much more than Moltres in terms of sweeping potential, because, it gets things like Giga Drain, Bug Buzz, everything like that. Psychic, but I do really like, and I think that it's underappreciated, that it gets things like U-Turn, Roost, Defog, and that type of stuff. And I don't know how often I'll bring a bulky Volcarona because it doesn't have the best defensive stats, but I think it's going to be a ton of fun to try and use. And it's our second big sweeper Pokemon because we have Celesteela already that can sweep games, and Volcarona is another mon that it doesn't provide the defensive utility that Celesteela does, but it obviously provides the threat level that Celesteela provides, which is really, really fun. And for our fourth pick, we went to another classic mon that you've definitely seen me use before, and that's Lanturn. Round 4 Lanturn, probably a little bit too early, but I figured it's one of my signature mons that I'm always drafting, so I might as well get it early. And also, I just love how it pairs with Celesteela. I feel like every time I've ever drafted Celesteela, I had Lanturn, just because they cover each other so well, with Celesteela covering the grass and the ground types, and Lanturn covering the fire and electric types perfectly. And it's just, a perfect pairing. And like, yeah, I already have 2 waters in my first 4 picks, but it does, I think, allow Keldeo to be more offensive because we have another bulky water type, so that Keldeo doesn't have to be running bulky sets constantly, which is really, really nice, obviously. Flip-flopping back with our next pick, we picked another Pokemon that we've never used before in Celebi. It's another mythical Pokemon that I wanted to use that I've never used before. I think it's a mon that I've always thought that I wouldn't enjoy using, but I figured with Celesteela as my steel type, I needed a Pokemon to get rocks that wasn't like, the conventional typing. And I think it's really got a lot of possibilities. I want to run Swords Dance and Nasty Plot at different times throughout the season because I think offensive Celebi can be a ton of fun. And also just another mon that gets Rocks plus U-Turn, which, I'm a sucker for momentum. And it's a solid momentum option. It's also got the base 100 stats across the board, which is really, really nice because it gives us a lot of flexibility with this Pokemon as well, which I think applies to a good amount of our team so far. And that's another really nice thing, I think, for this team. Next up, we got Diggersby, another mon I've never used before, but I wanted a ground type, I wanted a normal type, and it was kind of the best of both worlds in that regard. Another U-turn mon, of course, we love that, but there was no particular reason for me drafting this, I don't think. There was just a bunch of Pokemon that I was scared of. I didn't have anything for ghost types, and like, with Lanturn being my only electric check at the moment, with both Celesteela and Keldeo, I guess I had the Celebi as well. I just wanted to use this thing, honestly. It hits really hard, it gets spikes, but mainly it's huge power. Like, that's what I'm going to use it for. I haven't seen a ton of people run, like, agility sets, but I think that's a really good option for it. But, you know me, it's probably going to be choice locked every single week. And I think that's okay, because I don't have a ton of great choice mods besides the Keldeo on this team. So I think it's totally okay. And I think Diggersby is going to be a lot of fun to use, because huge power Pokemon usually are. Next up, I really needed a fairy, just because I didn't have one, and I didn't want Celesteela to be my dragon switch-in all the time. And so I went with Whimsicott. I'm going to be honest, when I drafted it, I forgot I already had a grass type in Celebi, but I think it's okay, because like, Whimsicott's not really a grass type, it's just kind of a prankster mon that also is kind of a fairy type. And yeah, I really enjoy Whimsicott. I know that it's got a bit of a fan following in the CGT as well, with Dr. Slacking being a huge fan of it. And yeah, I've been using Whimsicott for a long time. I had it in the first ever Wi-Fi league I was in, the TPL, and I loved using it there. It's Defog U-Turn. It's our second Defogger, which if you look at the team overall, we don't have any other removal besides this thing, Volcarona, which means we really needed it in that regard. And yeah, I think it's just really, really nice to have things like Encore, Leech Seed, U-Turn, Knockoff. Like, it's just an incredible support mon, I guess. You're not going to see me running like Tailwind because I think it's a bad move in singles. But yeah, I love the support that Whimsicott provides. And I think I'll be bringing in quite a bit, even though I do have another grass type that I spent another point on. I guess they're almost the same price, actually. But yeah, Whimsicott's a fun Pokemon. I had it in a low tier league, and I brought like specs every single week because that's a ton of fun. Just like U-turn, trick, and then dual stab. But I doubt I'll be able to get away with that nearly as much in a league where there's actually like good Pokemon. But yeah, that's Whimsicott. Gonna be a ton of fun. The third Pokemon on this team I've ever used before, and it might be there's only 4 Pokemon on this team I've used before, which is a ton of fun. The last Pokemon that I've used before on this team is our next pick, Dragalge, and I really just needed a grounded poison, I'll be honest. I hate having teams that don't have a grounded poison type, and even though my team wasn't particularly weak to Toxic Spikes or anything like that, I like having a Toxic Spikes user, I like having a grounded poison type, I like having a dragon type, and Dragalge is fun. Like, it's not my favorite grounded poison, but you can just throw an AV on this thing and it's super, super specially defensive, which is fantastic. It's also slow momentum and flip turn. I like that it has Toxic Spikes itself because I like setting up Toxic Spikes quite a bit. And it really just doesn't like steel types. That's really the only thing it doesn't deal with. And we have a Volcarona, Celesteela, and Diggersby. So hopefully with Flip Turn we can take advantage of those Pokemon really well. So I'm happy to have Dragalge. It's not like the best value at 9 points, I didn't think, but I really was looking for a grounded poison. There weren't a lot left at this point. Most of them had already been taken off the board. And so I went with it. I'm happy to use it. It's the fourth Mon here that I've used before, along with Celesteela, Lanturn, and Whimsicott. And I think it's still a really, really solid option for us. Next pick is my cheapest Pokemon by far, but one that I think could be coming quite a bit, and that's Spiritomb. I've never used Spiritomb, but I've seen people use it, and it looks like it's just a lot of fun to use. It's also a Ghost type and a Dark type, which are two types that I desperately needed, because my team did not like fighting types, and my team did not like psychic types. And so, this is kind of my option for those mons specifically. It gets really good priority in Sucker Punch and Shadow Sneak, which I like. It gets Pain Split, which isn't the best recovery, but it's functional. I've also seen like Pressure Rest sets do a ton of work because it's just really, really difficult to kill this thing easily, like quickly. And I think it's just a really solid option. Now, is it the best Ghost type or the best Dark type? No, it's a 4-point mod for a reason. But I really just wanted to try it out because it's just one of those Pokemon that I don't see drafted very often on Wi-Fi, and I think it's good enough to deserve being drafted. And so I went with it, and I'm happy with it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun this season. And then our last two picks, you can see them together. They kind of go together. I drafted Gigalith and Drakezolt, my last two picks. And it's not really what I intended to do with this team. I had no intention of drafting these two. Well, I was planning on drafting Gigalith, because if you look at my team, my only rocks besides Gigalith is Celebi. And so I was just looking for a good rock setter. But my team also really, really hated flying types with the Celebi, Volcarona, Keldeo, Whimsicott. Like, my team did not like dealing with flying types. So I was like, I want a rock type with rocks. And Gigalith was the best one by far, in my opinion. There weren't a whole lot of options because there aren't very many good rock types. And I was planning on just getting Gigalith, not using sand specifically, but just having a nice, solid, physically or especially defensive rock type. And then grabbing a couple of, like, lower tier mons like Cryogonal or Girder. I don't know. I didn't really have much planned beyond it. But then I was looking and I saw that Dracozolt was the exact amount of points that I had left. And I said, you know what? I've never used Dracozolt, but it looks like a ton of fun. I've seen Ryan use it and he had a lot of fun with it. And like, this is the last league of the year. I might as well draft Dracozolt. It's just a button clicking mon, and I didn't have any other button clickers on this team, besides Diggersby maybe. But Dracozolt doesn't really help our team synergy in any way at all, and it's a pretty big investment for 12 points. But it's a fun Pokemon, and that's all that really matters at the end of the day. We didn't need a Dragon or an Electric type. It does help with the flying types and the electric types, actually, which is kind of nice. But again, I'm not going to be using this thing defensively in any way. If it's coming in, it's going to try and click buttons as much as possible. And hopefully we can do that with this thing. I think it can work a couple weeks. It's not going to be something that comes too often, I don't think. But when it does, it's going to be very, very scary for our opponents. It does mean we kind of have to bring Gigalith as well. But given that it's one of two rockers for us and it's one of our few really bulky Pokemon, I think that's going to be okay. Because if you notice the team that I don't have very good recovery at all. My recovery, looking at it, is my two grass types and Volcarona. And all my other defensive mons rely on just natural bulk, which is one thing that I did notice when I was drafting this team could be problematic, is that I don't have good reliable recovery on most of my mons. But hopefully we can just sweep people fast enough that it's not an issue. I think that was kind of the goal with this team, honestly, was have some breakers, have some cleaners, and then have some decent defensive Pokemon that can stick around long enough to be in a position that we can actually clean with our big cleaners. And yeah, that's the team that we drafted. I think this season's going to be a ton of fun regardless of how we do. I think this team has got the potential to do really, really badly or really, really well. And I'm going to try my best to do well with it. I'm really excited to be using a team of a ton of Pokemon that I've never used before, because it gives me a chance to try them out. I know a bunch of people really like a lot of these Pokemon, and I wanted to see what all the fuss was about. And yeah, I'm just really excited to be here. A ton of really, really cool coaches. We're battling Sven week 1, which kind of unfortunate just because we battled Sven a lot. Love Sven. Love his content. Every coach in this league is incredibly difficult because it's all incredibly good coaches. But I was hoping to avoid Sven just because we've played him so much. Same with Ryan, just the two coaches in this league that I have played a lot. But there's a ton of coaches in here I've never played before, a ton of coaches I really look forward to playing. And yeah, I'm still really looking forward to my battle with Sven. That'll be coming out next week, on next Friday. And yeah, I really hope you guys stick around and watch this season. Should be a good time regardless of how we do. And I'll see you guys back here next week for our battle against Sven. Bye, y'all.